If I was to ask who the most masculine character in The Power of the Dog was, I'm sure we'd all have the same answer. It's Phil. But I don't believe the film communicates this as fact. Phil is masculine because he sees himself as masculine, and he makes this very clear to others.
But I stink, and I like it.
And it's the way he expresses himself that determines the health of his relationships. To Rose, he is intimidating and aggressive, while to the farmhands, he is skilled and introspective.
Not if you can't see it, there ain't.
But I'm not interested in the way Phil sees himself. I'm more intrigued by the way he sees others, especially Peter. Let's start here. Up until this point, Phil has never treated Peter with anything but resentment and animosity, yet he not only talks casually with Peter,
People who get to be good friends.
he offers him a gift.
I'm gonna finish this rope and give it to you and teach you how to use it.
Why? What changed? It's the pants. Peter's crisp new jeans. Although his visit to the shop was a number of scenes prior, he hadn't worn them yet, and you'd be forgiven for not noticing. His shirt is almost identical to the one he was wearing previously, but the sleeves are noticeably shorter, and he's wearing the same white tennis shoes as well. And dark indigo jeans are almost indistinguishable from dark gray trousers when they're the darkest thing in the scene with bonus Netflix compression. But they're a step from Peter's world into Phil's, a tougher working man's garment. Phil reaches out to Peter emotionally.
I don't see any Mr. Burbank here. I'm Phil.
As a response to Peter's change in how he expresses himself through his clothing. And it's also partly because Phil just got caught naked on the other side of a male erotica-filled hollow before chasing Peter away.
Get out of here, you little bitch!
But I feel like that only adds to the steps in this conversation. It's the start of a more intimate relationship between the two men, or it might even be more appropriate to say a man and a boy, given that Peter is a teenager. But there's always tension in their relationship, cemented by Phil's well-established aptitude for manipulation and penchant for violence.
Shut that down or I will!
The difference in their age and status doesn't add spice to their relationship, it adds suspense, because we know that Phil perceives Peter as lacking, and just like Peter's jeans that have yet to be broken in,
Don't tell him to soak those jeans.
Phil thinks he is the right man for the job. To recap, Phil is caught in a compromising position. Peter responds by taking a step into a working-class pant. Phil reaches out emotionally. Peter accepts.
What? Phil?
It's such subtle, highbrow intimacy that is masturbatory to the kind of people sexually attracted to the use of semicolons and Oxford commas, and I eat it up. Anyways, but those scandalously exposed wrists. The shirt attached around them is lighter than before. It's softer and flows due to the extra volume. It's similar in delicacy to the scarf from Phil's oft-spoken mentor, Bronco Henry.
That saddle belonged to Bronco Henry.
Which personally I thought was a nickname. I mean, who names their son Bronco? But it creates a material connection between Bronco Henry and Peter, one that is soft and stiff, denim and leather. Oh, and speaking of leather, the progress on the promised whip from earlier gets put on hiatus when the leather is sold by Rose against Phil's wishes.
I needed them.
But don't worry, Phil.
I've got rawhide to finish the rope.
Now, it has to be rawhide for reasons of the plot, because unlike tanned leathers, rawhide is untreated and not malleable unless soaked before working with. It only works in whips because the thinness of each strip allows it to bend, while the braiding provides the necessary mass for it to, whip. Rawhide is also what old dog bones and drumheads were made out of. It's that stiff. It's a simpler and stiffer leather, all the better for gruff and masculine Phil. And I believe that it was very important to Phil for his gift to be a whip. It represents control through violence, something likely passed on by Bronco Henry, that he plans to pass on to Peter.
Don't let your mom make a sissy of you.
A transfer of masculinity, because this isn't what Phil views to be masculine. This is.
Fat-faced bitch!